Welcome back to The Progenitor. This is the podcast where we go over a director's entire filmography, talking about themes, scenes, pacing, and give a brief review all within 30 minutes or less. So we got to get started. Currently, as you all know, we are going over the filmography of Sir Ridley Scott. And this next film, he returns to a well-worn genre that he has actually excelled at very well. This is actually his third installment in this particular series, although it's all loosely based. Let's be honest, Prometheus wasn't a direct prequel. It was exploring the origins of what's actually going on. So, I'm guessing you guys know what movie we're talking about. I'll give you a few more clues. Xenomorphs galore. You got a lot of black ooze, blood, you got androids, you got everything you would expect from this next film, Alien Covenant. Now, going forward, I decided, let's not talk about locations because let's be honest. It's either Morocco, Europe, America. He doesn't really shoot in Asia that much, except for Japan for Black Rain. But ever since then, he's stayed outside of the Asian areas. So let's just put aside location and talk about the story, talk about the themes, talk about shots and recurring images, right? Although in this case, I don't really remember a lot of fans, but like spinning fans, but we can talk about that later. So let's start with a brief plot description. Alien Covenant is about a group of colonists. Now, this group of colonists are trying to find a specific planet that they've already plotted a course to, and basically they're on their way there. But they have an android on the ship who realizes that they have to recharge the power cells, so he opens up this solar panel charger that they have. And as it's absorbing and recharging, a solar flare occurs and rips open, the solar recharger. So basically, a lot of people get injured, a lot of people die, and then the android named Walter has to awaken everyone from their cryo sleep. Not everyone, because it's a colonist ship, so there's a bunch of people, but there's a select, I think, 8 or 9 or 10 people in the ship that he awakens. And unfortunately, one of those people he tries to wake up is played by James Franco, and James Franco passes away because his cryo sleep chamber explodes on him. So that his character's name is Jacob Branson, but yeah, he gets fried really bad. So all of a sudden, you have Billy Crudup, who plays Christopher Oram. He's elevated to the new captain of the ship, or not captain, but the new leader of the expedition, with the second command being Daniels, who was the wife of Jacob Branson. And what happens is they're assessing the danger and they're assessing the situation when they get a hidden message. Uh-oh, you guys know what those hidden messages mean. Something fishy is going to happen. But so basically, they find that the message is coming from a planet, and they decide to go explore it. And as they get down to that planet, they realize that the atmosphere and the whole planet is conducive to humans, right? So humans can live there and grow there. But guess what? They didn't account for alien infestation. So they go down there and they're exploring the world, and slowly, they're okay. Here's a crazy thing: they get to the planet, they see that it the oxygen and the air is conducive to human evolution, human existence. So they take off their helmets. But come on, guys, be a little smart. At least wear it for a little longer until you discover all the plant life and stuff like that. Because you probably don't know quite yet if you want to live there. You can't just make it off of off of such a quick judgment. And that's a problem between Orem and Daniels, because again, I didn't mention this before, but Orem is a man of faith and Daniels is just very logical in this case. So again, we have a story, faith versus logic. And in this case, unfortunately, logic wins out, because guess what? The planet is not ripe for for human existence, because there's aliens on it. And guess what? The aliens start like taking over the people and popping out of chests, popping out of people's backs, just from spores from a plant, or like, just spores going in someone's ear. It's just, this alien is not like the facehugger. These aliens are quicker and more aggressive in growth and getting into people's bodies to reproduce. So it's pretty crazy. And then on top of that, you have the return of an old friend or foe, David. So one thing I forgot to mention, Walter, the android that opens up the solar sail, solar recharger, is played by Michael Fassbender. And guess what? David is played by Michael Fassbender. So Michael Fassbender is playing two roles. And guess what? He kills it in both roles, figuratively and literally. Okay? So basically, spoiler alert, you find out David's been on this planet experimenting with life forms to create his own alien species, own alien weapon. And he learns to love them, and he wants to grow them, and he wants to treat them well because humans didn't treat him well. And he basically wants revenge against humanity, just like Prometheus's originators of the human race wanted. Okay? Because David doesn't think humans deserve what they have. Jealousy, envy, all these different sins that David has, and it's because Wayland tried to make him too human. So, bada bing, bada boom. Let's go forward from here. Brief review. I enjoy this movie, I do, but it is stupid. A lot of characters make stupid decisions, and I get it. You got to get to the scene with the aliens. You got to get it moving. You got to get it moving forward. But it is stupid. Although this is the case, it is super fun, super gory. There's a couple twists I really like, especially David and Walter. David is trying to seduce Walter to come to the dark side. Walter doesn't fall for it. They get in a fight. And then at the end of the fight, you don't know who won. But guess what? At the end of the movie, you realize it was David who beat Walter. And David brings onto the spacecraft, guess what? An embryo of the xenomorph and an embryo of a facehugger. Yeah, David is a crazy motherfucker, guys. On top of that, for some reason, oh, I remember, one xenomorph makes it onto the spaceship when they escape the planet. There's a security officer played by Damien Bashir called Carl Lope, and he actually gets like this acid on his face, and I guess it got infected with some alien spores or something, because an alien pops out of his back and then goes on to kill like this loving couple played by Jussie Smollett and I think it's Callie Hernandez, and they're having sex in the shower. There's some sensual music playing, and then guess what? That alien tail crawls up and tries to, penetrate. Freaking sexy and dirty all at the same time. Anyways, so yeah, like I said, there's a lot of jump scares. It's very well done. You know how Ridley Scott works when it comes to these particular films. He extends the sequences out just a little longer. and then boom, the action's immediate and quick, right? And there are definitely a lot of the scenes where the alien is popping out of their backs and stuff. I enjoyed all of it. I just wish the human characters were smarter. Like the smartest characters, of course, Daniel is played by Catherine Waterston, and then we'll get to the cast. Sorry, but yeah. So basically, yeah, I really just wish it was smarter. Other than that, let us continue. Let's talk about the cast and crew. We'll start with the crew. So this film was produced by, of course, Ridley Scott, and then you have David Giler, Walter Hill, two of the guys who originated the Alien franchise in the first place. Walter Hill has done his own directing. You know, he did The Warriors, 48 Hours. It's weird. I actually have not seen a lot of Walter Hill films, but what I do know is that he excels a lot in violence, and he's very good at that. Like, for example, the two films I remember are Bullet to the Head and Johnny Handsome. And is it Johnny Handsome? It is Johnny Handsome. And he's very good at shooting dark, angry, violent films. Now, okay, so those are two producers. Then you have Mark Huffam, and this guy is a recurring guy already. He did The Martian, he did Alien Covenant, he did Prometheus, he did The Counselor, he did Exodus, Gods and Kings. So he's worked with Ridley Scott a lot. He's about to work. I mean, he's helping produce Napoleon, which is Ridley Scott's next film as well. So this is a hardcore collaborator. And then you have Michael Schaefer. Okay, Michael Schaefer, he did The Martian, Counselor, Exodus. So they worked they worked together. And he did The Lighthouse and Ad Astra. So we're starting to see some. He likes the sci-fi, but he also likes the horror because The Lighthouse has that horror vibe to it. And then let's see. Next up, you have writers. Okay, so the original story was written by Jack Peglin and Dante Harper, and the screenplay was written by John Logan and Michael Green, I believe. So Michael Green previously worked on Blade Runner 2049. He did Logan. Unfortunately, he wrote part of Green Lantern. I'm not sure how much he wrote of Green Lantern. And John Logan was also the credited screenwriter. Now, this guy has some legit work as well. Sweeney Todd, Hugo, Aviator, so he's worked with Scorsese. Jack Paglin, he wrote Transcendence. Now, here's a funny story. I actually watched one of those. What is that when they have audience people come in to view a film that's not yet done, and they just want to gauge the how the audience feels about the movie, so they can make cuts or whatnot. Well, basically, I went to a screening of Transcendence, and I actually met Wally Pfister. I thought he was a really cool dude. We didn't really speak that much. I just said huge fan, and then yeah, the movie was not great, but it had some interesting ideas. So I think that Dante Harper and Jack Paglin worked together, got some ideas together, and John Logan and Michael Green probably put together the structure, tighten it up, kind of thing. So altogether, you have a very good group of writers. So I'm very surprised that all the characters are so stupid except for Daniels. But let's move on. Pietro Scalia, love this guy. He's already done what, 9, 10 movies with Ridley. He's so good with the pacing. And like I said, Ridley Scott likes the deliberate pace and then the jump, right? He doesn't he wants you expecting it, and then he holds it just a little longer because you already expect it. And then when you're starting to calm down just a little bit, boom, he hits you. There you go. Darius Wolski. Now, I want to go into this just a little bit, and I've started to realize what it is about Darius Wolski that kind of holds me a little further apart from, say, a John Matheson. So John Matheson, wide, widescreen, epic vistas, blah blah blah. Okay, yes, Darius Wolski can do the exact same thing. Okay, I'm not arguing against that, but he doesn't like warmth. What Darius Wolski likes is cold images, cold lighting. He likes desaturation. He likes to take you away from warmth so that you feel uncomfortable. So that's the one thing that I'm starting to get from all these new Ridley Scott films going forward from The Counselor and on, since he started working with Darius Wolski. And I think it's an interesting approach. But like I said before, if we go back to Exodus, I really think Exodus could have used a little more light, a little more warmth, could have used a little more variety in terms of lighting, in terms of, just the overall feel of the image. Whereas Darius Wolski keeps it very stable. John Matheson is a lot more experimental, I would say. So yeah, I think that's one of the things that holds me a little further back from a Darius Wolski photographed image. Although it works sometimes, you have to look at the particular genre. So in particular, Alien Covenant, it works because you need that coldness, you need that remoteness, you need that sterility that Darius Wolski is able to create through his imagery. Now, Chris Seegers was a production designer. What? Not Arthur Max? What's going on here? Honestly, I don't know. But if we look at Chris Seegers' production design films prior, he's worked with Tony Scott a bunch. So, Man on Fire, Deja Vu, Unstoppable, Taking a Pelham 123, Domino. So maybe there's something to do with that, and Ridley Scott maybe wanted someone close to Tony, or maybe he just wanted someone that works quick. I'm not quite sure, but he's worked with Arthur Max in the past for so long, and he worked with Arthur Max on Prometheus, so maybe he wanted just a new a new look rather than using Arthur Max, who did Prometheus. So maybe that's what it is. And H.R. Geiger, as you guys all know, he helped create the Xenomorph through his art, through everything. He was a huge influence on the pre-production and the production of the original Alien and Prometheus and such. And he's listed as an art director. Now, awesome. Wife's Corner. For some reason, I mentioned this before, but my wife isn't really scared of these alien movies as much as like a normal horror movie. She actually enjoys more of the questions that they ask, especially with Prometheus and Alien Covenant, because there's a lot of things about faith and there's a lot of things about creation and why we were created, stuff like that. Very interesting questions. And then, oh, sorry, I missed it. Ridley Scott collabs. Pietro Scalia, we mentioned it before. Oh, shoot. What about the music on this one? I normally mention the score. Obviously, I don't remember much of this score. Jed Kurzel. Jed Kurzel. Now, Jed Kurzel is an Australian, I believe, composer. He composed Macbeth, Assassin's Creed. He's both directed by Justin Kurzel. I'm wondering if they're related, which they probably are. And Justin Kurzel, his films are actually very violent and very cold, but makes sense, like going with that cold, violent sterility. But this is his first time composing for Ridley Scott, and he hasn't composed with Ridley Scott ever since. So other than that, I mentioned John Logan, who did Gladiator. This is a second screenplay. And then you have Michael Green. Although Michael Green did not write or although Ridley Scott did not write Blade Runner 20 or did not direct Blade Runner 2049, he executive produced it. So you still have a touch of Ridley Scott in that film. And then Ridley Scott also helped produce Murder on the Orient Express and Death on the Nile, which Michael Green worked on. So altogether, I guess they have a relationship of 4 or 5 movies, but maybe tangentially. Although that's the case, they they have worked together. And then Pietro Scalia, I think it's around his 10th or 11th film, maybe more. Darius Wolski, definitely 4 or 5, fifth time. So he, like I mentioned, he builds these relationships, and more recently, he's been able to hold on to them. Because if you think back in his previous films, going back to like his first few, the cinematographer changes, the music changes. He's collaborating with different people all the time, maybe just trying to find his flow. And then slowly, once he got to around Gladiator, GI Jane, around that time period, he started a lockdown on a select few of the crew that he liked to work with. So yeah. Okay, let's continue. Themes: empower female characters. Ding ding ding. Daniels, super smart. She's the main protagonist. She starts just like another second in command and becomes like the leading survivor of the whole film. So she's like Ripley. Her storyline is pretty much Ripley's. Let's also talk about Carmen Ijoga's character, Karine Oram. She's the wife of Christopher Oram, played by Billy Crudup. And basically, she's also very strong. She gets annoyed when her husband complains all the time. But unfortunately, she's one of those characters that makes stupid decisions. And she her character decides to like split up from the main group so that, because she's like a botanist and she's trying to take a look at the plant life. And then so basically one of the guys who stays back with her, one of the security guards, he gets contaminated by alien spores and bleeds all over her, and it's pretty crazy. But yeah, so there are a lot of empowered female characters in this film. Nature space is a hostile and uncontrollable environment. Ding, ding, ding. Any one of these alien movies, that's what it's about. They are in nature, where what they don't understand how this planet works. They're in space. Let's keep going. Age does not mean a thing. This one I'm not so sure about because most of the characters seem to be around the same age. They seem to be on the same page. And, they're all married couples. They're going to a new planet so they can colonize it with all this group of people. So, not as much with this one. Do not trust rich people. Money is coveted. We'll put these two together. Doesn't have much of an impact on this film because Waylon isn't really in it. But the byproduct of Waylon is David, and David really fucks people over in this film. So yeah, I would still not trust rich people. Violence doesn't solve a thing, brains do. Yeah, when you're trying to kill an indestructible creature like the alien, you can't just shoot it because its blood is acid. You really got to use your brains and suck it out into space. And that's what Daniels does with Tennessee, played by Danny McBride. Next up, Happy Wife, Happy Life. Come on, James Franco's character dies so quick, so she's not happy. And the rest of Daniels' life is not happy. So, unfortunately, although she's not happy, she learns to be independent, strong, and kicks ass, alien butt all the way. Distrust of authority. Yeah, I would say that. Daniels has a healthy distrust of Orem. Orem has a healthy distrust of Daniels. They both could have been the top dog of the expedition. And Orem unfortunately dies. Daniels stays alive. So, yeah, there is definitely that distrust of authority. Battle of the Sexes, again, Orem versus Daniels. And a lot of the case, yeah, ding ding ding. So I'll give that a ding ding ding. Do not trust robots, androids. Ding ding ding. Guess what? David is back and crazy as ever. And you realize throughout the movie that David has hated humanity since he was created. And now he's creating his own creature. And he's making himself like God and creating these monsters to find a way to send them over and kill humanity, basically. So, yeah, David is crazy as usual. The afterlife, death, God. There is this whole idea of faith in terms of Orm's character. He believes that faith, like his faith in a God, his faith in a higher creator, which is strange because they don't mention God particularly, but he's a religious person. And basically, he his idea of going to this planet is because out of nowhere they're awakened by a solar flare that destroys their solar recharging, and then this beacon comes for a planet that is just perfect for humanity. So he's thinking that that's all faith related and fate. So that's why he decides, okay, this is a good chance to explore. And unfortunately, Daniels is against it, but you know, if they didn't go down there, we ain't got a movie, folks. So there you go. Okay, really quick, I forgot to do the all-star cast. You got Michael Fassbender back, Catherine Waterston. Now, Catherine Waterston is in one of my favorite Paul Thomas Anderson films, Inherent Vice. If you haven't seen it, go check it out. He's She's also in Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them, but that whole trilogy is baloney. It's crap. I can't believe it's a money grab. It's a money grab. I'm sad to say. Then you got Billy Crudup. He was Barry's father in Zack Snyder's Justice League. He was he was Dr. Manhattan in Watchmen, and he's great in that film. And he's in Big Fish. Love that movie. Danny McBride, hilarious dude, super bad. Um, he was in Tropic Thunder, and what was that? Pineapple Express. He's hilarious in that film. Yeah. So it was really interesting seeing him in this movie because, like, he's normally in a lot of funny movies. This is a very serious, like, horror film. So yeah, it was really, really interesting, but very good portrayal, I will say. Let's get into some shots. Ooh, a lot of shots. I particularly like it. Um, when Tennessee flies this lander down to go pick up the remaining crew, and basically Daniels and the security crew, they're trying to get on this lander, and the xenomorph, or the, I'm not sure what you call it, but it's really close to a xenomorph. It jumps on. Oh, so I guess there's two. There's a xenomorph and a neomorph. And the neomorph is kind of more like a baby one. It's white in color, but the xenomorph is your normal black in color, large scale with the tail and the mouth with the mouth inside. So the xenomorph runs after the ship, jumps on, and they're trying to get rid of it. Any shots with the xenomorph is great. Any performance scene with Michael Fassbender is great, especially when Orem finds out what Michael Fassbender's David has been doing this whole time. And guess what? Orem is the first guy to get the xenomorph facehugger in this movie. And guess what? It's just as effective as John Hurt's first time, because Ridley Scott is just good at ramping up the suspense and tension. And you know it's gonna pop out, but you don't know at what time, you know? So I still really enjoy it. Other than the stupid characters. So yeah, there you have it. Let's talk about what is next. We are going away from sci fi and coming back to reality, but not the reality of nowadays. We are going back to, what is this, the 70s? The 60s? We are going to a movie about John Paul Getty and his grandson and his extended family in the film called All the Money in the World. Now, I think this is going to be a really interesting discussion because there's a lot of production stuff that happens in this film that needs to be discussed. But unfortunately, I'm looking at my letterbox and it doesn't seem to be streaming for free. So again, you might have to purchase it. It is probably $14.99. I already bought it, so I can't say for sure, because once you buy it, iTunes doesn't normally show you the price. But get a copy and we'll talk about it next time, folks. So again, next film we are talking about All the Money in the World. All right, we'll talk to you later. Bye.